Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 8 of What If Naruto Became a Fallen Angel. If you guys enjoyed this What If and want to see part 9 of it, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other What Ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Congratulations. Surzichus along with the rest of his family yelled as he and Rias stepped into the Gremory clan castle. The two had come after Naruto's crushing victory against the Phoenix. Word had rippled through the underworld about how powerful Fallen Angel had turned into a yokai and claimed the hand of the Gremory heiress as her husband. Looking around, he saw Zeoticus and Venelana standing with both of Riser's parents. Ria's entire peerage was there as well, sitting together at a table. Naruto shook his head when he saw how hard Issei was trying to resist looking at some of the women walking around, much to Ashia's despair. Surzichus of course was with his wife Ajuko, his best friend Ajuka, and his queen and maid Grafia. Also in the gathering were other members of the Gremory clan. Ah, they are the guests of honor, Zeoticus said, walk up to Naruto and Rias. Lord Zeoticus, Naruto said with a nervous smile on his face. Surzichus had told him it was a small gathering, not an entire gala. Everyone was dressed so elegantly, and here he was dressed in his orange and black jumpsuit with his sage coat over it. Thanks for throwing this, Naruto said, looking over the party. How can I not? Ria's father said, putting an arm over Naruto's shoulder. A powerful young man such as yourself is gonna become my son-in-law one day. My Rias doesn't have to marry someone she doesn't want to. I mean, I haven't seen her this happy since we took her anime shopping as a kid. He laughed before handing the blonde a cup of what he assumed was wine from the smell. Now have a drink and enjoy yourself, Zeoticus said, pushing Naruto into Ria's face first into her ample bust. Naruto blushed, pulling himself away from Ria's and averted his eyes, much to Ria's amusement. As the two integrated themselves into the party, Naruto managed to overhear some of the conversations going on. I have to admit, it's a rare sight to see such a dignified fallen angel, one of the red-headed women said, glancing at him. He knew he was being judged by everyone in the room who hadn't met before. They were Ria's family after all, and no doubt wanted to make sure that she was going to be well taken care of. I heard he disciplines the fallen angels who step out of line and works directly with Azazel, another one said. So he's Azazel hitman, huh? One responded, chuckling. Well, as long as he keeps the bad ones at bay, I don't care what he calls himself. Maybe with him marrying my niece, the fallen angels will back off, the man added. Naruto didn't like being seen as a hitman, but he knew that it could be used to describe what he did. He wished that he didn't have to kill, but some were beyond redemption, or rather he didn't know how he could turn them. But did you see how he battled? What monster strength. Can't say I expected less from a seraphim level fallen angel. I wonder how he fell, a woman said to the man from before. I heard he was reincarnated as a fallen angel. Just ignore them, Naruto, Ria said to her now fiancé, distracting him from the talks. Fiancé, she liked the sound of that. Well, she wasn't sure she was in love with the blonde, at least he gave her the option of breaking it off if she so chose. It was certainly much better than what Riser has offered her, and she was already starting to like him. Yeah, Naruto said as the two sat down at the table with the rest of Ria's peerage. Hey guys, Naruto said with a small wave. Kaneko, who was sitting next to him, acknowledged his existence with a nod and small smile. Akeno on the other hand sent him a burning glare. Her hatred of fallen angels hadn't waned like Naruto had hoped. You did great, Naruto, Issei said to the blonde. Sure, he was jealous as all hell that Naruto was now likely to marry someone with such excellent opai as Rias, but he wasn't going to be a dick about it. He was happy for his king and knew that if Naruto hadn't shown up, then they may not have even won. Also, he was a bit scared after seeing the blonde turn into that monster. Thanks, Issei, Naruto responded to the pervert. How's your training going? Naruto asked the wielder of the Red Dragon Emperor. I'm getting better, but I'm nowhere close to you, Issei answered, scratching the back of his head. After his talk with Naruto, he had started taking his training seriously. Now that he had entered the supernatural world, he needed to be able to protect his family and his loved ones. Ashia-chan has been getting used to living with my parents, Issei told the blonde, who smiled kindly. I'm happy for the two of you, Naruto said, causing Ashia to blush at the implication. So when are you two gonna have your wedding night? Issei asked with a perverted smirk, only to be hit on the back of the head by Kiba, who was next to him. Hey, Issei yelled at the blonde, who just took a sip of his water, ignoring the pawn. Well, a wedding night tends to happen after someone has a wedding which hasn't happened yet. Naruto responded with a deadpan look on his face. Issei laughed awkwardly as Rias glared at him for asking such a question when so many high-class devils were around. I still can't believe you marrying him, Akeno said to Rias, his side. Akeno was against the whole thing due to Naruto and her father being from the same faction and even working together. She would have to ask Naruto to talk with Baracol about trying to mend the bond that he had lost with his daughter. Akeno, Ria said, getting her friend's attention. Akeno looked at her best friend before looking away. The Redeed knew she would have to talk to her queen about her attitude against Naruto. She didn't want their friendship to fall apart after so many years. Lord Naruto, Sursages wishes to talk to you, Graphia said, walking up to the table. Naruto looked back at her and blushed, remembering the last time he had seen her was when he had interrupted her bath while she had been drunk. He still remembered everything she had told him that night. He doubted the devil would have told him as such if she had been sober. He felt bad that he knew something that she may not have even have wanted him to know, just because he caught her in a moment of weakness. Lord Naruto, the blonde asked Graphia while following her. You're Ria's betrothed, therefore you will one day be Lord of the Gremory, Graphia told him. Hey Graphia, Naruto said, earning her attention. Do you remember the time I had dinner with Sursages in the Juko? Naruto asked the devil maid, who stopped in her steps and gave him an icy glare. I would advise that you forget whatever you learned, Graphia said lowly. I'm sorry. Naruto apologized. It was just as he thought. She didn't want him to know about her problems. Graphia, if you ever need to talk to. I said forget that you ever even heard that, Graphia said, a bit louder but still quiet enough that no one overheard. Naruto nodded, accepting that the maid didn't want his help at the moment. If he had been younger he may have pushed the subject, but he didn't want to make a scene. The fallen angel wouldn't understand. She muttered to herself, but Naruto managed to catch it. What do you mean? Naruto asked, stopping her once again. Nothing. Just ignored, Graphia said, trying to end the conversation. The two entered the courtyard outside of the building where Sursages was supposed to be waiting for them. Naruto looked around but couldn't find a trace of the redeemed devil anywhere. What's going on, Graphia? Naruto turned towards the maid. He was slightly tense as he wasn't sure if this was a trap or not. He didn't feel anything negative towards him coming off of Graphia minus some annoyance. I don't know. Lord Sursages told me he wanted me to bring you here for a quick talk before they officially announced the engagement to the clan, Graphia said to the blonde as she gathered some magic in her hands in case of some kind of attack. There's nothing here, Naruto said, relaxing as he entered sage mode and used it to scan over the area for anything hiding. I guess Sursages must have forgotten or something. Naruto sighed, releasing his sage mode. Damn that redeed. How could someone so powerful be so idiotic? Looking out at the garden, Naruto couldn't help but be impressed. It's beautiful, Naruto said, looking at the plant life. Lady Gremory has been raising and taking care of it since her marriage, along with Lady Ijuko, Graphia told him before turning back and heading back towards the doors that they had came in. Her hatred for the woman. You hate Ijuko? Graphia turned back and glared at him. I told you to ignore it. My life is none of your business. I am the maid of Sursages Lucifer, that's it, Graphia stated icily. So you have no life outside of serving Sursages? You don't have any dreams outside of being a maid? Naruto asked, pressing the subject. He couldn't let the issue drop. He wouldn't feel right knowing that Graphia was suffering so much just to stay close to the man she loved. That hatred would only tear her apart, and given a devil's lifespan, it would either pass eventually or destroy her. I don't owe you an answer, Graphia, leaving the blonde by himself. Naruto sighed, leaning against the rail. I know you're there, Sursages, the blonde said out loud. Sursages walked out from around a corner. It was clear that he wasn't in the best of moods now. The redeed leaned over the rail next to Naruto. There was a moment of silence between the two supernatural beings. I never thought that it would get this bad, Sursages muttered. He couldn't help but blame himself for how Graphia was right now. He did love her at one point, but he just loved Ijuko more. As a Satan he was forced to pick one and only one. He had hoped that Graphia would understand, and for a while he thought she had gotten past those feelings. I was wrong. I never thought she would hold those feelings for so long. You're an idiot, Naruto sighed. Now he knew how Sakura felt at times during their younger days. Feelings like love don't just go away. When a bond is broken it leads one to hatred. The blonde told the leader of the devil faction. It reminded him of the Uchiha clan. A clan with so much potential for love, but as soon as that love was gone all that was left was hatred. You speak like I can do anything, Naruto. Sursages said bitterly. He hated how useless he was now. There wasn't anything he could do to help Graphia get over her broken heart. She had helped him so much during his life, and how did he repay her? He broke her heart. I'm terrible. Sursages sighed. No you're not, Naruto said, sighing. He didn't know how he could help this time around. The only time Graphia opened up to him was when she was drunk, and he really didn't want to resort to that. You loved Ijuko. You can't help that, Sursages. You got screwed by the rules of your race. If you never became a Satan then you could have married both of them, but you had a duty to lead the devils. Naruto said to his future brother-in-law. He smiled. It was a sad smile, but a smile nonetheless. But I shouldn't have put this off until now. Sursages said. I could kill her. Naruto suggested, earning a horrified look from the redeed. The fallen angel laughed at the devil's expression. I'm joking, Sursages. We'll think of something. I don't want her to suffer even if she is a big cold to me, you know. The blonde told Sursages, who nodded in agreement. He didn't want his queen to wallow in hatred and pain either. Sometimes he wished he never took the job in the first place, so he could marry her. I'd go to war against you if you even tried. Sursages said, letting out a dry chuckle. I'll think of something. Grafia is almost like family to me. Sursacha said before sighing and turning towards Naruto, but enough of that. I need to talk to you about what happens now that you and Rias are engaged. Sursacha said, changing the topic, at least for the time being. What now? Naruto asked, already feeling a headache coming. Well, first off, I'm personally happy for the two of you. I can tell Rias genuinely sees you as a friend, or maybe even more already. But not all devils feel the same way as you. Well, the Gremory clan is fine with it, the Bale clan isn't. Sursacha stated. Naruto raised an eyebrow at how serious the Satan had become. The Bale clan is the highest ranking clan in the underworld thanks to their naturally high demonic power and power of destruction. The word of their head has massive swing power in the underworld, even more than my own. Sursacha admitted to Naruto. What are you talking about, Sursacha? Naruto asked, alarmed by this. As far as he knew, the Satans were the rulers of the underworld. This was all news to him. And from what he knew of that clan, then it wasn't a good thing. After the deaths of the first Satans, the Bale were made the de facto leader of the underworld. Most of the underworld is still loyal to them. Sursacha told the blonde, who was paying rampant attention to what the devil was telling him. They are among the most prideful of my race, and that fact that someone who carries their power is marrying a fallen angel leaves a bad taste in their mouth. The normally idiotic Raditz said. So they'll try to turn other devils against me. Naruto concluded. Ugh, why does everything in this world have to be so complicated? Naruto yelled, much to Sursacha's amusement. Sometimes he wished things would be like in his original world. If you didn't like something, then you either talked it out or farted out. What did I get myself into? They wouldn't go as far as starting a war, but I'm just saying to be careful. There is only so much we can do without causing an uproar among some of the devil clans. Sursacha said to Naruto. But for now we just have to wait until they try something against you. Just know that both me and Serapho will try to help you as much as we can. Sursacha claimed as the two walked back towards the party. Luckily, as in fallen angels and lover of the yokai faction leader, they'll be hesitant to move. I try to know as many people as I can. You never know which one you'll need. Naruto said, shrugging his shoulders. Let's just enjoy the rest of the party. This is a time for celebration, Sursacha said as the two walked in. Sursacha picked up a wine glass and held it up in the air, earning everyone's attention. Zeoticus walked up next to the two with a smile on his face. Everyone. I would like to introduce to all of you my dear little sister's fiancé and my future brother-in-law, Naruto Uzumaki. He declared, earning an applause from most of the attendants. Naruto looked over at Rias, who smiled back at him. Come on boy, have a drink with me. The lord of the Gremory clan said, pulling Naruto along with him. The next day. You called Azazel? Naruto asked as he walked into the faction leader's office. He had been called back to Azazel's headquarters soon after his victory against Riser, and becoming the official fiancé of Ria's Gremory. He blushed at the memory of the kiss she had given him after they were united after the battle. He had been bombarded by devils who were asking to interview him, which of course he accepted a few in hopes of easing the tension with some of the devils, which still had something against the fallen angels. Azazel wrapped his arm around Naruto with a wide smirk. That I have, he said before leaning in closely. So did your little devil give you a nice reward for your services? Azazel asked the blonde, who easily caught on to what the fallen angel was implying, and sighed at how perverted the former angel was. Please tell me you didn't call me back here just to ask me if I got laid. Naruto said, deadpanning at the fallen angel governor. Of course not, Naruto. Azazel said before smirking. But congratulations on taming Yusaka. When I first sent you to stay with her, I never really expected your relationship with her to grow to this level. Hopefully you didn't knock her up. Azazel said, much to the blonde's embarrassment. How could one man talk about sex so much? Now onto the real issues. Finally, Naruto muttered, fighting back his blush. One of our spies has sent me quite the piece of information. A few former associates of ours has gone rogue and stole some of the fragments of the original Excalibur. Of course the church has sent two lovely ladies armed with sacred swords after them. Azazel handed Naruto a pair of pictures. Looking down at them, Naruto couldn't help but blush at what he saw. The two were completely naked and dripping wet. Please tell me you haven't been spying on girls in the bathroom, you damn hentai. Naruto stated with a glare. He couldn't deny, however, that both of them were extremely beautiful, as was the case with the many of the women he had seen in this world. Thank God Jiraiya isn't here. Naruto thought. He couldn't imagine the trouble the old sage would get into if he was still here. The first one had the name Arina Shido on the bottom. She stood at 5 feet and 4 inches and had an athletic figure. She was not as big as Ria's, her breasts were large by normal standards and nice round bottom. Her hair was chestnut colored and was tied into twin tails. Arina's eyes were bright violet. Even from the picture Naruto could tell that the girl was nearly angelic in nature. The other one was called Znovi Korda. She has a similar body to Arina with large breasts and a firm butt. Unlike Arina, she had shorter blue hair with a single strand of green that reached her shoulders. She had golden eyes and wore a colder expression compared to her partner. While Arina looked angelic, she looked like a warrior. These two are the ones being sent after the Excalibur fragments. They will most likely make contact with Ria sometime after arriving in the city. Make sure that nothing too bad happens between them. Both are devoted to their faith and will view them as enemies should it come down to it. You on the other hand can handle yourself against them easily. Azazel explained the situation to the blonde. The shinobi turned fallen angel took in everything he had been told. Of course, as Ria's fiancé he would naturally be around to help if they needed it. So what am I dealing with from the traders? Naruto asked Azazel, who sighed and gave him a file. Kakabiel, huh? Damn, to think so many would turn and join him. Naruto muttered at the list of fallen angels who had joined the former cadre. A lot of fallen angels are less than happy with the stricter rules against some darker acts. Azazel said, sounding depressed. They had tried to change the fallen angels for the better, but not everyone wanted peace with the other factions. Some just wanted to fuck whoever they wanted, take whatever they wanted, or simply just do whatever they wanted without caring for rules or laws. Sometimes I feel like this faction would be better without me. Naruto muttered, falling into one of the chairs. You're too good-natured to be a fallen angel, Naruto. Azazel lamented. If anything, you should have been an angel. Of course you may have fallen since you became physical with Isaka, but nonetheless your personality is much purer than any of us. Azazel said to Naruto, who smiled his words. But of course you have done a lot of good for us. You weeded out members who betrayed us. You became an example to many that they didn't have to follow the stigma of the evil angel, and for that I thank you. Hey, don't get all sappy on me now, Azazel. Naruto said, standing up. I'm happy to help the guy who saved my life. I know that one day all the factions will be able to live in peace with one another. Naruto stated. Azazel nodded to the blonde's words. Well, I better get going. I promised Kaneko-chan that I would go get some cake with her. So date. Azazel said calmly. Huh? No, we're getting something to eat, you know. Naruto denied. You know, I never expected you to be in lolis. After all, both Isaka and Rias have those giant tits, and don't even try denying that you haven't done it with Kaluin or Kuroka. I've seen how the sexy kitty clings to you. Azazel teased. I've never so much as touched Kaluin or Chan or Kuroka-chan sexually. Naruto yelled, blushing red from embarrassment. Azazel simply smirked and pulled out a picture of him and Kuroka sleeping on the same bed, spooning each other. The worst part was that she was naked and he was only in his boxers. She snuck into my bed. Stop taking things out of context. He yelled back at the snickering fallen angel. And you didn't censor. Please, what kind of ninja are you then? Azazel taunted. What if she was an assassin? Oh, and let's not forget about Office. He added. I'm so getting you back for this. Naruto said coldly. Bring it on, Brad. Azazel challenged the blonde, not really knowing what he was getting into. Now get out of here already. Azazel said to the blonde, who waved and left. Now to my novel. The faction leader said, pulling out a familiar orange book. With Naruto. It only took Naruto a few seconds to fly back to the school, where ran into none other than Seraphul's younger sister Sona at the gate. While not having interacted much with her, Rias had given him some information about the young devil. She was much more serious compared to her sister and Rias. Hello, Sona-san. Naruto said, walking up to the citriere. Naruto-san. Sona said, turning towards him. Her eyes narrowed on him. Naruto-san, how old are you? Sona inquired him. The blonde raised an eyebrow at the strange question. I'm turning 18 soon. Naruto answered a bit hesitantly. Why do you ask, Sona-san? Because I have never once seen you at a school or wearing a school uniform, nor have I heard anything about you going to school from Rias. Sona said, walking up to him with her arms crossed under her modest chest. I will not allow Rias marry some uneducated idiot. I'll arrange for you to be enrolled into the school. She told him. But I already finished school. Naruto claimed. He had already gone through school once in his world. He would not do it again even if it killed him. At least in Konoha school taught you how fight. Here you basically sat in a room and listened to some old yatter on about stuff that wouldn't help you in life. What school? Sona said. It wasn't really a question since she already had her answer. It was just a courtesy to let him defend himself on the off chance that he had in fact finished the school. Konoha Ninja Academy. The blonde responded, completely serious. For a moment there was complete silence between the two. The two just stared at each other for what seemed like hours. You couldn't at least given me a real school's name? Sona deadpanned, not believing him for a second. Besides, even if you did, I'm sure that holds no credentials anywhere in the world. The petite girl claimed. Naruto looked mortified. He couldn't dispute that part. Finishing the academy only really gave you credibility in your own village, and he was sure that ninja school from a different dimension wouldn't look well if he ever actually decided to get a job. But I'm a cadre. I help keep my faction in line. Naruto countered. Last time I checked, you just beat up traitors. How is that going to help you rule the Gremory clan with Rias when her parents stepped down? Sona countered, glaring at him. Or do you plan on dumping all the work on Rias while you goof off? She added. Either way, I'm contacting Cerziches and Zeoticus about this after school. Sona said, ending the conversation and walking back into the school. Kill her, Naruto. I don't want to sit through any of that shit. Shukaku yelled at the blonde from the inside of his head. Why can't I just live a normal life? Naruto sighed, dropping his head as Shikaku rambled on how he was going to make Sona pay if she sent them to school. Anyways, I guess we should just wait until school gets out, Naruto muttered as he walked away. Finally, back home. Naruto yelled as he walked back into his house for the first time since he left for the battle with Riser. He had finally managed to lose Sona thanks to his speed advantage. There was no way in hell that he would ever go back to school and waste his time. He had more important things to do than that. After that, he went out with Kaneko for a bit before returning home. Naruto-kind, Kuroka yelled as she jumped on him. Naruto was caught off guard by the fact that she was completely naked and could feel her nipples poking against his shirt. I saw everything, you were amazing out there, the black cat complimented. Naruto could see the lust clouding her eyes. He could feel her gyrating her hips against his manhood. I want you so badly right now, Kuroka told him frankly. I would appreciate it if you got off my fiancé. The two heard. Looking up, they saw a rather annoyed Rias looking down at them standing at the door. Behind her was Akeno and Kaneko, each holding a set of luggage. Kuroka sighed in disappointment and transformed into her cat form and ran off, giving Rias one last glare before leaving the room. Geez, we haven't even been engaged for 2 days and you're already having an affair, Rias lamented while Naruto got up. The three women walked into the house and sat the luggage down next to the couch. Naruto went into the kitchen and brought out some drinks for the three of them. Sorry you had to see that, Naruto said to the trio. So, I'm guessing you're moving in? Naruto asked. The Redeed, who smiled and nodded. It made sense now that they were engaged that she would start living with him. He had enough room in his house. Azazel had spared no expense in building the mansion. Then I'll have Calwarner prepare a room for you then, Naruto told Rias. No need, Rias stated, moving from her seat over to his. I'll be staying in yours. After all, we're going to be husband and wife one day, we might as well get used to sleeping with each other, the Redeed said, sitting on his lap. Good job, Rias. She praised herself, blushing as she felt something pressing against her ass. Kaneko pouted, seeing her king sitting on the blonde's lap. It had been a shock when she saw her sister on top of Naruto when they had arrived. She knew that she would start her senjutsu training with him soon. She was hesitant about it. A fear of losing herself to the power of nature like she thought her sister had. But seeing Kuroka again made her second guess her belief. She had heard the truth from them and was willing to give her a chance. But Naruto stuttered, only to be silenced by Rias, who pressed her finger against his lips. No buts, Rias said firmly, showing that she wouldn't waver. She knew full well who else lived in the house with her fiancé. Both Kuroka and Calwarner stayed with the blonde, and from the displays she had seen today knew that Kuroka was trying to get with Naruto, and she had seen how Calwarner looked at the Uzumaki. She may have accepted that Naruto would have a harem, but she wasn't going to give up on trying to get the top spot. Surzicha said he would be sending an engagement present tomorrow, the Redeed said, leaning back against the blonde's chest. Naruto felt a bit uncomfortable as he felt ass rubbing against his junk as she shifted. Why did he feel like he had made his life so much more complicated getting involved? Akeno, can you and Kaneko please take my bags to Naruto's room please while we talk? Rias asked her two peerage members want to speak to her fiancé in private. Getting the message, Akeno and Kaneko picked up Ria's bags, while Naruto made a clone to lead the two to his room. You know, I can't really express how much what you did means to me, Naruto, Rias said, relaxing against Naruto's chest. Taking Naruto's left hand, she brought it to her breast right over her heart. My entire life I had been waiting for that day. The day that I got my freedom back from Riser. Every day I was scared that I would choke and lose, and that I would be stuck with him for the rest of my life, Rias said, clutching his hand. Naruto didn't say anything as he left her speak. I know that I wasn't prepared for it. I love my peerage. They're like my family, but we were outclassed by Riser. Maybe if Issei had more time to mature he could have tipped the scale in my favor. He hadn't. But you saved me, Rias told him sincerely. I was willing to do anything to get rid of that contract, even giving up something I could never get back. I was willing to disgrace my family, Rias said, wiping away a tear. Naruto gently rubbed the top of her head, trying to comfort her. You saved me. You gave me the chance I've been waiting for my entire life. When I heard Riser surrender, I couldn't believe it. The weight that I had carried for 17 years had finally fallen off my shoulders, Rias said, turning around and facing Naruto. Her breasts pressing against his chest as she wrapped her arms around his neck. The blonde was surprised by the adoration on her face. That look held more love than even Yusaka had on their night together. Despite the tears streaming down her face, her smile was sincere. I could never thank you enough, Naruto, my fiancé, Rias said, closing the gap between the two. My love, Rias said, claiming his lips. Naruto didn't know what surprised him more, the kiss or her proclamation of love. Compared to their first kiss, this one had much more feeling behind it. Rias wasn't holding back now that they were alone. Her tongue danced around inside his mouth with his own. Naruto hesitated for a moment, not expecting the kiss, but responded nonetheless. Their lips molded together as Naruto wrapped his arms around her and brought her closer to him. Deciding he was done letting her dominate his mouth, Naruto fought back. Their tongues were interlocked between the two of them as they vied for control over their kiss. Rias moaned into the kiss when she felt Naruto grip her large yet firm ass. She could feel his hand pressing against her flesh through her clothing. The two tipped over, going from sitting to lying on the couch. Ria's hair veiled their faces, their legs tangled together. They were so close they could almost feel the other's heartbeat. Rias pulled her head up, breaking the kiss. Then string of saliva continued to link them as they took light gasps of air. Rias lay down on top of Naruto, placing her head against the nape of his neck. "I love you," Rias said into his ear. The two had a deep blush from their intimate moment. Rias got off her future husband knowing that her servants would be returning soon. She remembered everything that had happened since she met the blonde. She never expected her life to change so much from deciding to go with her brother to Kyoto. When she failed at getting him into her peerage, she thought that it would be the end of her interaction with the blonde. But when he promised to help her, it had been something that not even her parents had offered her. And the more time she spent with him, the more he helped her, the more he supported, the more he accepted her, and the more she fell in love with him. Akeno and Kaneko walked in shortly to find her, their king and Naruto talking casually. Akeno took notice of how close Rias and Naruto were now compared to when they left the room. Couple that with their blushing faces, and she was easily able to see that something happened between the two. As much as she didn't like Naruto for being in league with her father, she couldn't resist the opportunity. I hope you two didn't stop, because you knew we were coming," Akeno said, giggling as she walked back to her Ria's side. "I'm sure you two would have had a great time if left alone," the half-fallen angel said. Kaneko slapped the back of Akeno's head with an annoyed expression on her face. She already had to see her sister naked with the blonde. She didn't need to think of her king doing the same thing. Though she couldn't help but look down at her chest and then at Ria's in a bit of envy. "Pervert," Kaneko muttered. Offhandedly, she wondered if Naruto preferred larger breasts given the woman he was involved with. Unknown to Ria's, Naruto had spent some time with her since the party. Kaneko, I think I'll be fine now, so you two can go home for the day," Ria said, dismissing the two. She wanted to get to know her new home a bit better and get acquainted with some of the other guests. If she could even call them that. Kalwinner seemed to be stationed here with her blonde love, while Kuroka seemed determined to have children with him. She was sure she could handle Kalwinner, but Kuroka was beyond even her peerage. Hi. Akeno before moving around to Naruto. Rias glared when she saw her queen wrap her arms around Naruto's neck in a seductive manner. Leaning down, Akeno whispered something that Rias couldn't hear, but Naruto could definitely hear the whisper. "If you hurt her, I'll cut your balls off," Akeno threatened the blonde before leaving the house. "Time for a house tour," Rias said, pulling Naruto with her, unaware of a set of cat eyes glaring at her. Next day, Naruto yawned as he woke up at the crack of dawn. Looking over, he saw Kuroka sleeping in his bed, not hiding a single inch of skin as usually. She had his left arm wrapped in her arms and pressed in between her two large mounts. The blonde sighed as he tried to sit up, but found that his right arm was being held back as well. Looking over, he saw a second naked woman with red hair in his bed. It took him a second to realize what going on. Rias moved in. Naruto remembered as his mind started to fully wake up. The blonde replaced himself with a clone to get out of their locks. Looking back, he couldn't help but think about how cute the two of them were. "Get your mind out of the gutter, Naruto," Naruto muttered to himself before walking out of his bedroom. He instantly noticed the smell of eggs and pancakes in the air as he moved towards the kitchen. "I didn't know Kala-chan could cook," the blonde said quietly as he opened the door to Kalwinner's room to check if she was still asleep. Inside the room, she saw the tall brunette on her bed, naked as the day she was born. There were dozens of sex toys sprayed around her room, ranging from leather S&M items to vibrators. He instantly went on high alert when he saw that his fellow fallen angel wasn't the one who was using his kitchen, and he was sure as hell that office wasn't the person. As Naruto snuck his way towards his kitchen, he could hear the light sound of walking along with a stronger aroma of food. Hiding around a corner, he used his control over light. He created a small orange dagger as a contingency plan. Hearing the footsteps coming closer, Naruto waited for the person to come around the corner before springing out. In an instant, the person found a glowing orange blade pressing against her neck. "Please refrain from attacking me." Naruto's eyes widened when he heard Graffia's voice. Pulling back the dagger from her neck, Naruto glared at the devil maid. "What are you doing in my house?" Naruto asked, dispersing the blade. The silver-haired maid motioned for him to follow her. Walking into his dining room, he saw 5 plates filled with food. "So why are you here, Graffia?" the blonde asked the strongest queen. Graffia glared at him. He could see the anger barely retraining itself within her. "Lord Sursaches ordered me to stay here until I am called back to the underworld as a maid for you and Rias," Graffia answered him. She almost spat out Sursaches' name when she talked about what she ordered her to do. Graffia bowed towards him. "I am completely at your service," the devil stated. Naruto frowned when he felt how much anger she was radiating. She hated the order that Sursaches had given her. She probably feels like she was thrown away. Naruto thought, feeling bad for Graffia. "Don't bow to me," Naruto said to the maid. "I don't need a maid. If you're going to stay here, then you'll stay as a guest." Naruto said, taking a seat at the table. I apologize, but I cannot do that, Grafia responded. She took her work as a maid very seriously. Her orders were to be a maid for Naruto and Rias. She may have hated it, but she knew she had to follow the order. Surziches ordered me to be your maid. I will carry out his final order to the fullest degree. Naruto sighed. Fine. Naruto relented. Cutting off a piece of the food, Naruto ate while the silverette simply stood in the background, waiting for any other order from her new master. You're not going to eat? The blonde asked. I will eat after everyone else has eaten. Grafia responded calmly. She was good at keeping her emotions hidden from the world. Despite her internal turmoil, she was trying and succeeding at keeping herself composed in front of the blonde fallen angel. However, no amount of acting could hide how she felt from the former shinobi. Looking down at his plate, the blonde couldn't help but smirk as an idea filled his head. Sit. Naruto said, pointed at the chair next to him. Grafia raised an eyebrow at the strange order, but complied anyways. Cutting off a piece of a pancake, Naruto raised it to her mouth. I order you to eat with me, the blonde said with a wide grin. Grafia stared at him coldly for a second before opening her mouth. Naruto smiled as he fed her. Naruto was a bit marveled by how sophisticated Grafia looked even while she was eating. There was no doubt in his mind that this was due to years of serving as a maid in the underworld. Between the two of them, they finished the plate of food within a few minutes. There, Naruto said, taking the plate over to the sink and started to clean it. Grafia simply watched on as he washed his plate. Now you can have the rest of the week off, Naruto said as he walked past her, but was stopped when Grafia grabbed him by his wrist. What now? Why don't you just let me do my job? The maid asked. Naruto smiled at her softly. I can feel how much it hurt you to be sent here by Surziches. You feel betrayed, Naruto claimed. Despite how composed she was, he saw her tense up slightly, confirming belief. Walking over, Naruto placed his hands on her shoulders. I don't know what Surziches was thinking, but in that it looks like he did this to get rid of you. But he truly does care about you, Grafia. He may not love you like you love him, but he only has good intentions for you, Naruto told her, remembering the conversation he had with Surziches. You don't understand anything, Grafia responded. She couldn't deny that he was right in how she felt. How her heart felt as if a blade had ran through it. Flashback. Grafia walked down the halls of Surziches' castle towards his throne room. She had been in the middle of preparing dinner for her master and his wife. It bothered her to call Ichuko his wife. It was title that she wanted for herself, yet it was also one she knew she would never have. That is why she still served him. To at least stay close to him even if she couldn't have him romantically. It wasn't ideal, but for her it was better than nothing. The strongest queen compassed herself as she reached the double doors leading to when Surziches and Ichuko were waiting for her. Taking in a breath, she pushed the doors open. Inside, he saw Surziches playing with his son Milikas, while Ichuko watched on with a heart-warming smile on her face. My lord, Grafia said, walking up to the three. The Raidid looked up and sighed. Hey Grafia, the super devil said, standing up. Ichuko, can you take Milikas to his room? I need to talk with Grafia, Surziches asked of his wife. The green-haired devil simply nodded and left the room with their son without saying a word, but gave Grafia one last look before leaving. What is it, Lord Surziches? Grafia asked her king. Taking a deep breath, Surziches prepared himself for whatever he was about to tell her. Since Naruto and Rias are now engaged, Rias said she would move into his house. Surziches told her before continuing. So I decided to assign you as their personal maid. You will move in with Naruto and Rias and serve them as you serve me, Surziches ordered her. It took a few seconds for the words to resonate in her mind. Grafia's eyes widened as she felt her entire world falling apart around her. He's sending me away. The realization hit her. Surziches had to fight back the desire to comfort her when he saw her start to shake a bit. What do you mean? Grafia asked in a last shot at hope that she had simply misheard him. Like I say, Grafia, you will go to Naruto's house and stay there permanently as his and Ria's personal maid, Surziches told her once again. He knew that what he was doing was going to hurt her emotionally, and that maybe he should have consulted Naruto or Ichuka before going through with his plan, but he believed he knew that this would help Grafia in the end. While he couldn't claim to love her, she was still one of the most important people to him. It's for her own good. Naruto will be able to help her more than I ever could, Surziches said, putting his faith in his future brother-in-law. But who? Grafia started, but was shut out by Surziches, who interrupted her. We have plenty of capable maids, Grafia, Surziches responded. I know how you must feel about this, Grafia, but I need you to do this, Surziches said with an air of finality. He only hoped that she would one day understand, and that Naruto wouldn't take it the wrong way and murder him. Grafia held back her swirling emotions, trying to stay professional. Despite her stoic face, one could see the downcast eyes. As a Gremory, seeing her like that felt like he was betraying her. I understand. There was no emotion behind her voice. It was as if a robot had responded instead of a devil. Surziches gave her one last hug before pulling away. Trust me, Grafia, this is for the best. Naruto is a great guy. Try to have a bit of fun. The The redeed set before leaving his former maid to think about her new situation and get ready for her big move. Flashback end. I may not. Naruto relented. But I can try as hard as I can so you can be happy once again. I promise you. Naruto stated. Now that he had made it into a promise, he would definitely do it. After all, he never broke his promises, even if he had to go to hell and back. Grafie's anger had subsided a bit. Now take the rest of the day to get used to living here. If you need anything, then don't hesitate to ask. Naruto told her as they walked into the living room. I may have to ask Azazel for a house upgrade. Naruto thought as he saw 2 large suitcases which he assumed belonged to Grafia. Let's get you settled down in a room. Naruto said, picking up the 2, and carried them to one of the empty rooms he had in his house. Grafia followed behind him into the room which was to be hers for the unforeseeable future. There weren't any decorations other than a rather large Western-styled bed which seemed to be a bit larger than a king size, and with a few cabinets. This is my new room. Grafia thought as Naruto set down her bags. Thank you, Grafia said. Take your time, Grafia. This must all be hard for you. Naruto said, patting her on the shoulder. What are you doing in my bed? The 2 heard Ria's yell. Naruto and Grafia rushed to Naruto's room, where they had left Ria's. They arrived to see Kuroka sitting on top of a blushing Ria's with a victorious smirk on her face. They were still as naked as when Naruto had left them a while ago. Naruto, Ria said when she saw her blonde fiancé. Care to explain why this cat was in our bed? Ria's asked with a smile so sweet it was almost sickening. She has a habit of doing that sometimes, Naruto answered, having gotten used to waking up with the Nakashu being in his bed. He backed up a bit with his raised up when he saw the dangerous look Rias was giving him. Foxy is going to father my children one day, so I need to get familiar with his body, Nia. Kuroka claimed as she got off the redeed and sauntered over to the master and servant pair. Grafia narrowed her eyes on the Nakamata, freezing her in an instant. Naya. Oh, it's the scary devil maid. Kuroka joked. Grafia. Rias fully took notice of his brother's maid as she started picking out her school outfit from the closet. What are you doing here? She questioned, buttoning up her blouse. It's a long story. Naruto sighed. Later, Naruto and Azazel met up at a brothel owned by the fallen angel governor. Azazel downed a drink with grinning in a way that reminded Naruto way too much of his godfather. So 2 hot busty devils moved into your house, and you're complaining. Azazel laughed at the blonde. I fucked 3 different women just before coming today. The elder fallen angel said out loud. Sorry, I'm not a super pervert. Naruto said, deadpanning at the man. A woman, long black hair and large breasts, wearing nothing but a wet pair of panties, walked in and placed a bottle of sake, giving the 2 a wing before leaving. Why did we meet here? Naruto asked the man with an annoyed look on his face. The place reeked of sex and smoke. What do you think I'll be doing after you leave? Azazel asked, only for a kunai to land next to his face. Azazel drunkenly looked over at the knife, before looking at Naruto. I guess you want me to get to the thick of things. The governor said, wiping off some sake from his mouth. A few days ago, Fried Selzen stole 3 of the Excalibur fragments that the churches possessed. Unfortunately, since he at one point worked for the Grigori, many in the church have accused us of stealing them. Azazel told the blonde, who poured himself a drink. Any clues on who he's working with? Naruto asked his faction leader, before downing his drink. After everything he had to do recently, it was nice to get out a bit, even if the setting was a bit shady. Takabiel seems to be behind this plan. Azazel admitted with a heavy sigh. Once again, it was members of his faction causing problems between the factions. Worse was that this time it was one of the leaders of the Grigori, not some underling, that had gone rouge. My spies have confirmed that he was the one who ordered Fried to steal the fragments in order. I fear that is planning to start another great war between the factions, in order to sate his own bloodlust and hatred for the devils. Azazel told the blonde. Any idea of where he's going to strike? Naruto asked. Here. Azazel said definitively. This town has the sisters of 2 of the 4 Satan, and one of those 2 is married to the sister of another. If he wants to cause a war, he will likely try to attack and kill Rias and Sona. The governor said to Naruto, whose jaw clenched at the information. His faction would be doomed if that happened. From what he knew from Cerzichus, the Baal would call for war at Ria's death, which the underworld would follow, even if the Satan spoke against it. Heaven would declare war for the stolen weapons. Has Heaven responded yet? Naruto asked. Stealing the pieces of Excalibur was no small thing. He was surprised that was hadn't been declared already by the church. The churches have sent 2 holy sword users to Kuo in order to retrieve or destroy the stolen ones. Heaven itself has asked to meet with me today. Azazel responded with a smirk on his face. However, I'm quite busy after this, so I'm sending you to meet them. After all, I always say that you would fit in perfectly with them, so you're sure to get along better with my old siblings than me. The semi-blonde claimed to Naruto's annoyance. Why do I have to do your work for you? Naruto yelled at Azazel, who shrugged. Sometime he really did question his allegiance whenever his leader. You even admitted you were just going to stay here after we talked. The former shinobi growled, only to be waved off by Azazel, who took the bottle of sake and drank the remaining 3/4 of it. Azazel let out a hiccup, but I'm too drunk to meet with Michael. It would suck if I were to say something while drunk. Azazel claimed before calling over for another bottle for them to drink. Now get going. You're meeting them in 10 minutes at the abandoned church in Kuo, and don't make things any worse. Azazel said, pulling the topless waitress towards him. Naruto facepalmed when she giggled when his leader groped her. Perverted old man. Naruto muttered as he stood up and made for the door at the last second. He pulled the fire alarm before walking out. He could hear Azazel cursing and the woman screaming as the fire sprinklers sprayed them with water. Serves him right. Naruto said, smirking as he walked out the back into an alleyway before flying off. Abandoned church. Naruto arrived just as Gabriel and Michael were walking into the church. The pair of seraphim turned around when they heard him land. The Uzumaki walked up to the two with a friendly smile showing that he meant them no harm. Sorry, Azazel is busy, Naruto said, averting his eyes. The male seraph facepalmed, knowing exactly what Naruto was talking about. I'll be handling the situation in his place. This was unexpected for me too, you know. Don't worry about it, Naruto, Gabriel said to her fellow blonde. She couldn't help but bask in the pureness of his soul. It was something that Michael took notice of too, if the surprised look on his face was anything to go by. Oh, this is the first time the two of you met, the bubbly seraph said, looking between the two. Come on, Michael, don't be rude. You're right, sister, Michael said, walking up to Naruto with his hand extended. So, you probably assumed I am Michael. It's a pleasure to meet the fallen angel who has caused such a stir between the factions. The archangel greeted. He too had heard of the blonde's exploits in his quest for peace. He even got to watch the live broadcast of his battle with Riser Phoenix for the hand of Ria's Grimoire. Same. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto responded, shaking the angel's hand. The two felt the other tighten their grip a bit as they tested each other's strength. The three retracted their wings as they proceeded inside of the church. Naruto could see that they were a bit upset by the ruined state of everything. How sad, Gabriel said, looking around at the shattered murals and religious symbols that Rainer and her group had destroyed when they took residence in the place. It's never easy seeing such wonderful place reduced to this. The second strongest angel in heaven said to Naruto. This was a common trend among fallen angels when they took over a church. Naruto didn't have those tendencies as he wasn't a natural angel, but he understood why she felt that way. It saddens me too, sister, Michael to Gabriel. The three walked to a room in the back of the church, which had a table for them to sit. Naruto, first of all, I must thank you for all the work you've done in preserving the peace between our factions. It must be a huge burden. Hopefully we can work together so that one day we all can live in peace with one another, the seraphim told the other male blonde. I hope so too. Me and Azazel have been working to calm down some of our more rebellious members. Naruto was surprised when he felt no form of negativity from the archangel. It was the same as when he first met with Gabriel. Despite the war their factions had fought, they didn't seem to carry any sort of hatred for them. I wish more were like you too. To meet with an enemy and not hold any malice. It's a nice feeling, Naruto mentioned. Oh, so you can feel negative emotions, Michael concluded. It was a trait that many angels had, but he wasn't sure if the blonde possessed it, since he wasn't born as one. The seraphim-level fallen angel was a mystery to him. He had powers similar to those of a Yaokai, but he had the pure heart of an angel. So you were reborn into your faction from what my sister told me. A shame. I would have loved to have a seraph like you in heaven. Father would have happily to allowed you in, Michael stated. See, I told you, Gabriel said to her elder brother. Her brother had been skeptical of her when she told him about the blonde. While her brother held no hatred for the faction, he acknowledged the fact that all of them had sinned at one point. Unfortunately, I probably would have fallen by now, Naruto admitted. The love he shared with Yusaka and the way things were going with Rias, he was sure that he would have fallen due to have had sex with the Kyuubi. I don't regret the bond I have with Yusaka-chan, Naruto said to the two who nodded. Love is such a wonderful thing, Gabriel said, feeling the love radiating off Naruto when he spoke of the yokai leader. It was a great feeling whenever she felt it in someone. How much care and adoration one being could have for another. It warmed her heart, to be honest. I'm happy for you. Thank you, Gabriel. But I think we should get to the issue at hand, you know, Naruto said, looking at Michael, who nodded in agreement. While it was nice talking to his fellow blonde, he knew that this wasn't a friendly gathering. This was a meeting between faction leaders. Well, I can assure you that Kaguya wasn't acting on our orders and we consider him a rogue. Azazel suspects that he is planning on starting a war between the factions, Naruto told the two. Gabriel gasped while Michael narrowed his eyes. To think he would have fallen this far, Gabriel stated, remembering Kaguya before he had fallen from heaven. I don't want another war, she stated, which the other two agreed to. Heaven had yet to find a way to recover its numbers like the devils had, and the fallen angels were still far weaker than either of the factions. We have sent 2 holy sword users to Kuo. We would like to keep this incident isolated to the church, but we have instructed them to warn the devils in charge of the area of what they will be doing. The less who know about this, the better it will be for all of us, Michael told Naruto, who accepted that. It would be a huge embarrassment to heaven if it became public that their treasures were robbed right from under their noses. He doubted that everyone would just let it slide. However, if things get out of hand, I expect you to end the situation. No problem, Naruto said, giving Michael a thumbs up. But I doubt Rias will just sit around and let you guys walk around without some kind of intervention. She'll likely try and get involved somehow. Naruto warned the Seraphim about his fiancée. Considering how she acted when he arrived to take care of Rare, it was likely she would give Heaven the same treatment. Kaguya know things that we cannot allow to become public knowledge, Michael said. Naruto knew what he was talking about when he saw the saddened look from Gabriel. God was dead, and they had no way of making new angels, meaning their population could only go down at the moment. If he tells the world what he knows, I don't know if our faction will be able to survive the fallout, the Archangel muttered. If word got out to humans that their god was dead, who knew how many would fall or leave the church? Their faction would lose far too much power. Don't worry. If it comes down to it, I'll deal Kaguya, Naruto said, clenching his metallic hand. It sucks that people like him exist, Naruto said. It means a lot to us that you're willing to help us, Naruto, Gabriel said to the shinobi. Michael gave Naruto a nod before returning to Heaven in a flash. I should be leaving now. It was nice seeing you again, Gabriel said as she went to give Naruto a quick hug but tripped on a loose floorboard, causing her to fall flat on the floor. Are you okay? Naruto asked, helping her up. The sound of fabric ripping filled the abandoned church. Naruto's face went bright red when he saw her breasts. Azazel had always said they were called the finest breast, but seeing them himself was something else. They easily beat out Ryuza Yasaka. If he was a lesser man, he would have died of a nosebleed. Thanks for helping me up, Gabriel said, ignoring that fact that her upper body was exposed. She didn't even notice that her dress had ripped until Naruto wrapped his coat around her to prevent her from being further exposed. Sorry about that, Gabriel apologized for accidentally flashing the blonde. Naruto waved it off, but couldn't help but peek a few times at the bit of cleavage that she had kept exposed through the middle of his coat. Thank you, she said, closing the coat around her, noticing it carried the same warmth that Naruto radiated. No problem, Naruto said, smiling awkwardly. How she managed to stay so serene during the situation was beyond him, but she didn't seem to hold him against him for seeing her exposed. I better get going. I need to prepare for Kaguya, you know, Naruto stated. Gabriel nodded and returned back to Heaven. She wasn't even wearing a bra, Naruto whispered. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.